Now, UT, of course, has it's a whole other way of reviewing activities that we wanted to kind of take that apart, because we know that so many of you are genuinely interested in the University of Texas at Austin. And so let's talk a little bit about what that looks like. And we made a little graphic to kind of help explain this. So one of the things that we're doing here is we're not wanting to get 9th and 10th graders worried about how to apply to UT. What we want to do is show you where it'll ultimately end up, so that as you're planning, you have some idea. Your essays are going to show the things that are going to be places where you reflect on what you've done. And one of the really critical things in the college application process is not just doing these things, but also being able to reflect on what you learned from it. The expanded resume is one of the parts of the UT admissions process that is really unique. I can't think of another place that has it. I'm sure there is, but it is and parents, just for a minute, cancel what you think about resumes, because this breaks all the rules. This is long, like it's probably 3 to 4 pages. For the student who's really been doing a lot, it could be 5 or 6. So this is a long resume, and its highlight is what the student's fit to major, and then it is showing leadership and all the rest of the things that the student's done, and in a pretty significant detail. Both the essay and the resume need to 100% fit with the major the student is applying for. When you think of an application to UT, the first piece that should come to your mind is, it's a case for a major. I'm applying to a major. How do I show that I fit that major? This is true at some other big state colleges, but I think UT is on the extreme end on this, and they're really upfront and honest about it. UT is not a good school to go to if you really don't know what you want to major in. Then your letters of recommendation would fit into that puzzle. Your transcript, hopefully your coursework would line up if you, depending on what you want to study. For example, if you want to be an engineer or a business major, yes, you do need calculus, so plan for that. So each one of these pieces, but what you are applying to be a Longhorn. But when you're thinking about being a Longhorn, that's when you need to, 1, focus on your grades for sure. 2, make sure that you're getting 3 to 4 fit to major activities. That's really important. And then make sure you're showing some leadership, because they are also really looking at leadership. Now then, like I said, we're not wanting to get you guys worried about essays, and these could easily change, although 1 and 2 have been on there the whole 15 years that I've been doing this. So I'm guessing they're likely to stay. Why are you interested in your first choice major? This question is looking for you to be able to back that up with activity other than just your coursework, ideally. You certainly can weave coursework in, but you really want to have some engagement that you have done around your major. The second one is leadership. Again, UT likes leadership. They want to know that you can work well with other people, that you engage, right? Now, this does not have to be you're the president of the student council. It could be in your family, at your church, in your community, at your job, lots of different places. So it doesn't have to be a super formal leadership, but you've got to be able to talk about how you're a leader. Both of these questions, just so you know, are right now asked at many, many, many colleges. So just for you to understand that it's not just UT. And then the last one is, how are you going to take what you learned at UT and change the world after you graduate? So again, you hear that impact in there. If you've been doing impact and you've been doing common good work, you're going to easily be able to answer that question. Bob, do you have anything to add to that?
No, except to say that these essays, as Lisa said, fit as a puzzle piece to that expanded resume that is so unique to UT. Lisa, could you talk a little bit more about how that expanded resume connects to a student's activities?
Absolutely. So really, this is where you are showing your activities. So you're showing 3 to 4 pages of your activities. The currency, as I said earlier, in college admissions is hours. And the reason I stress that is a whole bunch of padded things that you didn't spend much time on are probably not going to ultimately be worthy of your resume. So you want some things that you go deep in, and you want to be able to explain what your role was in that. And this is not a super formal resume. I love this opportunity. And I think one of the things that is really cool about UT is that they are really reading all this stuff. There are schools that are predominantly numbers games. UT really does take all of this into account when they're looking for students who are going to fit the school. So this is an opportunity. If you are in the 9th, the 10th, or even the 11th grade, this is a wonderful opportunity to help your application shine. Now then, there are some majors that are even more competitive, and this changes up, although I would say has stayed somewhat consistent over time. And I would say UT pretty much follows what we're seeing nationally. So there's not a huge difference there. I think in the last year, we've seen business become nationally very competitive. Macombs has been competitive for quite a while. The engineering school, computer science, natural sciences, architecture. There may be a couple small programs like nursing. But when the programs are more competitive, let's talk about UT for a second. Many of those slots are going to get filled by the top 6% or whatever the percentage is when you are applying. And so shining to get one of the spots that's left means you really have to have great grades. So this is not a webinar on grades, but you do have to have that. But you've also got to have great activities that are going to shine there to be competitive.
Lisa, how does fit to major factor into students who are auto-admit students to UT who are in the top 6% of their high school class?
Oh, great question. So even if you're in the top 6%, the good news is you are admitted to be a Longhorn. So you can be a Longhorn. It does not, however, guarantee you your major. So again, when we go back to activity, even if you are an auto admit, you still want to be focusing on activities so that you are able to shine in the applicant pool for that major, so that you don't just get in, but you get the major that you actually want.